Welcome to class, everyone. To those live folks and the folks that subscribe, thank you so much for being here. So we're going to begin another Happy Hips class in our seated position. So I encourage you to take whatever seat makes you comfortable. Just make sure, rubbing your hands together, that when you place them on your low back, that warmth, feel the warmth of your hands, but then also that curve in the low back. So you want to feel spilling forward of that pelvis. And then those deep hip sockets live in there. So let's bring our awareness there. Take the hands to the thighs. Find your seat, find the anchor of your sits bone, the base of our pelvis, and that pelvic floor. So today we'll have that idea of dropping our hips, dropping into those hip sockets, but then also keeping that pelvic floor lifted. So there's a lovely balance of energies there that it's not always so intuitive. So let's try to keep that intention going there. You're letting go at the same time as magnetizing inward. So come to the seat, feel the shoulders drop away from the ears already as you come into your lovely sacred space on the mat. Inhale and exhale. As you exhale, bring your mind's eye to that anchor at the base of the spine. Two beautiful equal sits bones. And feel, as you inhale, the crown of the head reaching towards the sky. Finding our alignment, back of the skull to the sacrum. And traveling all the way to the base of the spine, find that pelvic floor again, the bowl at the bottom of the pelvis. And as you inhale, just feel the lift there, as if there's an elevator moving up into the middle of the body to support the lift of our torso. Exhale, find the anchor of that skeleton, the sits bones, and the pelvis. Close the eyes. Cut out the visual distractions so that you can go inward and really take your mind's eye, your third eye, into a stiller place, a contemplative space for our mind. The mind might have its flurries, but we're going to ground ourselves today. So bring those thoughts, habitual thinking, into focus on the third eye, all into that still point, the center. Travel down the spine with that awareness, past your shoulder blades as they roll down towards the pelvis, gliding onto the back of the ribs. And then to the base of the spine, the tailbone pointing down, an arrow to that earth, anchoring us to the center of the earth. Inhale, exhale. Noticing the lengthening of your exhales. So as we did Tuesday, we're going to have the breath practice be let go. So when you inhale, simply visualize something you want to invite in, whether that's a new way of thinking, whether it's just joy, whether it's happy thoughts or new ideas. And then exhale out anything you want to let go of, whether it's something you can explore as you practice today, something you've been holding on to in the body, something you've been holding on to in your thoughts. Let it go with the exhale. Simple round of inhale invites in that intention of whatever you would like to see or have in your awareness, in your being, and then exhale out what you don't need. The hips are a lot about release, deep release, because that socket lives so deeply in those muscle and joints and ligaments. Great. Let go. Flutter the eyes open. Take the fingertips beside you on the mat just for a little anchoring here through the fingertips. Turn the chin over towards the right, not all the way over, just exploring softly your range. Look over the left. We don't want to forget about the top of the spine here. Look right and left. Look forward. Find the gaze up at the sky. maybe your heart looks up a little bit too. Exhale, drop the chin into the jugular notch. So explore the neck muscles with your movement. Inhale, look up. Exhale, right ear toward right shoulder. Finding this drop nice and soft and gradual to begin with. And as you drop the right ear toward the right shoulder, we're going to turn the chin towards the right shoulder. So the chin is going to turn. You're taking a gentle turn with your neck. And then as you look down at your right shoulder, with that chin reaching towards the edge of the collarbone, you're going to take your left hand and your left arm, bend it behind your back. So feel that across the back with your forearm. Feel how that extends the trapezius a little bit more, setting us up for lower releases later down the spine. And then take the hand back to the mat and then trace your collarbone inward towards the center with your chin into that jugular notch between our collarbones. Inhale, look up. Inhale, big, invite in that energy. Exhale, soften the left ear to left shoulder. So press through the right fingertips. Feel that soft extension through our trapezius. And then turn your chin gently towards the left shoulder. Your breath will soften this experience, so don't forget to tap into that. And then take your right hand, release, and bend the elbow and bring that hand behind the back, so the back of the hand is pressing into the back. And that right elbow just kind of drops that gravity energy, extending the neck. And then bring those fingertips back to the mat, trace the collarbone inward to the center, back to our midline, to that vertical line of the body. While we keep the sternum tall, we're looking down, stretching the back of the neck. Inhale, look up. Beautiful. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Exhale, let's twist the torso over to the right, dropping the arms, dropping the fingers to the floor. And then inhale as you come back up to center, travel to the other side. This makes the exhale longer. Let's do it one more time so we can really invite that in from above, and exhale, really squeeze that air out as you twist. One more time to the left. Great. And come back to center. Inhale the arms into a T. Exhale, let's bend both arms. Bring our forearms behind the back and take the thumbs to the elbow creases. And just feel that drop energy of the hands, the arms dropping behind you towards the base of the pelvis. And then inhale into a slight back bend so that the heart looks up at the sky and the eyes join, looking up. Inhale. Feel the front of the lungs. Exhale, come back to a neutral spine. Take the hands to the hips, and we're going to do hip circles. So traveling down the spine, we're getting into that lower region, just taking a nice circle through our hip connection here. And so you can keep the torso as steady as you can, and the line of the head as well, in a beautiful orbit around our center. And when you are ready, you can change the orbit in the other direction. So dropping your energy into those hips, just feeling our magnetizing around the center, but then we feel a nice steadying point tethered through those sits bones at the base of the pelvis. Lovely. And then come to your center, find the orbit point in the center. Inhale, let it go, exhale, and then we'll come to a recline position for some core work and awareness. So let's bring the feet to the base of the mat, ease ourselves down to the mat. Back, take the hands to the back of the skull, and cradle that down to the mat. Let's stretch out long. We're going to inhale the arms above the head so we get our length here, stretching away from that midline, up to the fingertips, down to the toes. You can point and flex the toes. Point and flex the feet. Feeling your length, feeling the length of the side bodies. And then let's squeeze ourselves into a little bit of tension here. So take the fists, take the face, and just tense everything up, the glutes, all those larger muscles around the hips, the quads. Inhale. Exhale, release it to the floor. Just flop the feet out to the side. So we know what that release feels like in the body. Just absorb that gravity. Beautiful. Now let's inhale and wake that up again and lengthen out. So the Tadasana feet, the mountain pose feet. Inhale, notice the alignment of the spine in this horizontal position. And as we exhale, we're going to bring the knees towards the chest and just give them a hug. And then reach out long again, just finding that extension. Part of the hip action is finding extension in our legs. Inhale, exhale, bend the knees, hug them to the chest as you activate your core. One more time, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring those knees in for a hug. Maybe tuck your chin into that jugular notch and lift briefly if that works for your neck. But if not, you can stay on the floor. Great. And then release out again. Bend the knees, take the feet to the floor. Inhale the right knee to the chest. Circle that ankle not the ankle. Let's circle the ankles. Why not? Hey, I guess that was my body speaking before my mouth. Okay, so we'll circle the ankles, and then we're going to circle the knee so that we feel that knee to hip connection. The muscle groups that support the hip socket also, of course, travel into our knee area, especially those adductors on the inner thigh. So just know that knee problems can be related to hip problems, et cetera, or, knee happiness is hip happiness, et cetera, and vice versa. And change the circle direction. Allow the right foot to float to the floor, and then inhale the left knee towards the chest, circle an ankle on the left side. And circle it the other direction. Now guide that knee in circles. So again, but dropping into the hip. So you're really feeling that glide in the hip, the left hip socket, that top of femur bone fitting into that socket. Trying to bring our oxygen into that area. So sending attention and intention together to those hip sockets. Circles, change direction. Great. And then come on down, that foot to the floor. And we're going to do our alignment, skull to sacrum, back of skull to sacrum. Find the hip points. So take your hands, your fingertips to the hip points, those bikini bones, as they call them sometimes, up towards the sky. And just notice that we're just bringing our physical, sensational awareness into the hips, into that deep, deep complex. So we've got, and then let's straighten out the legs. And just notice as you press your heels into the floor and adding a little bit of tension up the legs, you can feel that tension just on the inside of your hip bones there, that things activate, right? So that's psoas complex, that's iliopsoas complex. Those are muscles inside the pelvis that connect to the legs. That's connected. Bend the knees, bring the feet to the floor. And we've got the inner thigh connection, of course, down to the knees from the hips. And now let's take pelvic tilt. So you're going to guide with your hands on the hips. You can guide the pelvis so that the navel goes towards the floor. Inhale as you lift that pubic bone up towards the sky. And then you're going to take the navel away from the floor, pubic bone towards the floor. So we're doing pelvic tilts here. So make them gradual at first. This is activating those deeper core at the base of the pelvic, of the abdominal region. Inhale and exhale as you take a nice rocking action there. Let's accentuate the rocking a little bit so that we come into the glutes. So you're going to lift the back of you're going to lift the sacrum off the mat just about a couple of inches, and notice you squeeze the glutes as you do that. You don't have to come up into a full bridge. We're just sort of exploring the pelvic range. So then do it again. So you're accentuating the same rocking that we were doing. You're just bringing it a little deeper into that upward motion. Bring the sacrum off the mat and you're squeezing those glutes. So we've got the minimus, the medius, and the maximus in the glutes, another group of muscles that support the hips. So let's get into strengthening those today, into stretching them. The piriformis is a whole other part of another complex of hip motion that is supported through our support the hip motion deeper in along with those glutes. So that often gets tight. And we've got that lateral rotation. It helps rotate the hips out. So speaking of lateral rotation, let's take the feet together, the soles of the feet together, and the knees wide apart. So now we're rotating the hips outward. And this is where deeper muscles of the lateral rotation come into play, like the piriformis, which is a very famous one for getting a little tight, for affecting the sciatic nerve, which can really affect so many of us. Anyway, here we are externally rotating the hips and also opening them up. So let's see if we can just gently rock the knees side to side. Come back to that beautiful letting in breath, exhaling out a release. Your hands still on the hips here, so see if you can bring that inhale, the depth of the inhale, into your hands, like deep into the belly. Exhale, feel that lower belly just release when you exhale, deepening as we go along into our practice. So feel the drop of the thighs towards the floor. See maybe a little more opening already along the adductors, inside the inner thighs, and the deep hip sockets. Great. Take the hands to the outside of the thighs and guide them in towards each other. Bring the feet, soles of the feet to the floor. And we're just going to take the hips in a circle. So we're aware of all of our abilities with those hips. You know, these are like our salsa hips and things like this. So take ourselves, take the hands on the hip bones, and then they're facing up. And then we're going to travel the pelvis, the back of the pelvis along a clock. So 12 o'clock being the navel, 6 o'clock is the pubic bone, and then right and left is 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So let's roll that along that clock face with the pelvis. So we're going to come up, navel lifts up, go to 6 o'clock, and then we'll go to 3 o'clock, kind of just pressing that back of the pelvis into the floor, back to 12 o'clock up at the navel, and just rocking in one circle around the face of that traditional clock, not the digital one. And then change the circle directions. Nice. And then come back to a neutral spine, take the knees together, and we're going to inhale and hug the knees towards the chest. And now we're going to roll over onto the left side, keeping the knees together. And just rocking over here. We're going to take a twist just early in our practice. Take a little twist. Take the right hand to the heart, elbow to the sky, and just open up into a gentle twist away from the pelvis. This is where the hips are even. So we're trying to keep those hip bones even and those the sits bones even as we stretch the mid and upper back over to the right. Reach the right arm up and the right hand up, back to the left. Grab those knees and find your way to the other side. Inhaling, keeping the knees together, glued together. Exhale, roll onto your right side. left hand to heart, elbow to the sky, just open up into a twist here. Cactus hands or open T arms, keeping the knees together, particularly paying attention to the pelvis here and its steadiness while the twist is rotating and coiling up into the mid spine and the upper spine. Looking over the shoulder. So now we're just taking a tour of all those different directions our hips can take, and then bring that left arm up to the sky, back to meet the right, roll over onto the back, and then we're going to change over to our tabletop position. So roll on over, find tabletop, and you'll probably would enjoy a little cushion under your knees. So take a folded blanket towards the base of the mat. Make sure the folds are nice and unwrinkled on the blanket so that the shins can rest and that the kneecaps can drape over the edge of the blanket. Great. Find that base, wrists below the shoulders and knees below the hips. Here we are in our all fours. Great. So find that extension through horizontally through the spine, and we'll begin to take circles with the hips. So we're going to take the hips to the right, towards the right side of the mat, keeping that base strong through the shins, and then slide it back as if we're making a U shape towards the left, towards the bottom, and then towards the left. And then let's swing it back again. Following the breath. Seeing if we can encourage those hips, those hip muscles, particularly to just let go a little bit of their gripping, which can happen through so many activities. And their bigger muscles, like in the glutes, are a little more resistant to letting go. And sweep again. Great. And then come back to our neutral spine. Just take one cat-cow here. Inhale, back of spine up towards sky. Make it nice and extended and luxurious. Look down at the knees. Feel the reach through the navel towards the spine. Really bring the abs into this. Exhale it out. Release the tailbone up towards the sky. Ripple up the spine. Finding yourself traveling bone by bone up the spine. And release the breath in the cow position. And then coming back to neutral, find steadiness through the spine. And then curl the right toes under and straighten out your right leg. And rock back and forth so we can get our hamstrings loosened up a little bit, forward and back. Great. And then we're going to travel in an arc with our toes. First, we're going to take the toes out behind to the right a little bit, just noticing we're traveling along the hip path there as we reach and extend our leg out to the right. And then we're going to sweep it in an arc over to the left side of the mat. And find a base with those curled toes on the right. Look back at your right toes and just gaze over the left shoulder there. So you're extending here along the right side, and we're visiting one of those glute muscles, the tensor fasciolata, TFL. And it's nice and on the side of our glutes, so it's often hard to stretch that. Still do it. Come back to center, slide that leg back and bring it in to the right. Bring the right knee in. And we'll take it to the other side. Curl the left toes under. Bring the leg back. Rock back and forth gently. Letting go. Again, hamstrings a little bit resistant to that. 2 hamstrings and hips. Little resistance there. Come on back to neutral. And we're going to take the left toes out to the left. So feel that extension through the hip, through that side of the hip, the left side. And then sweep it back in an arc to the right side of the mat, and then look back at your toes. Feeling that lengthening of your left side, especially along the side of the hip. And then come on back. Let's strengthen our whole hip complex here, especially the glutes as we reach the right toes back again and curl the toes under and then lift the leg up off the floor. Inhale the left arm next to left ear. Hug into that magnetized orbit space, that midline of the body. You can bring your left hand down briefly. Keep the right leg extended behind you. Bend the knee. Bring the sole of the foot to the floor. Sorry, that is so wrong. Bring the sole of the foot to the sky. You can look up here so I can not be speaking in opposites. Okay, let's bring it to the sky. Steady, steady into that midline. Lift your left arm off the mat and see if you can find your right foot behind you. We're a little quad stretch here. Keep the gaze soft downward. We can keep our spine aligned. Release your left hand back to the earth. Keep that foot towards the sky and just lift up a little bit towards the sky and then come down about an inch. So we're lifting the knee and the ankle up, back and forth, inhaling and exhaling, strengthening our glute there. And bring the knee down. Release your hands for a moment and just shake out the wrists. Pretend like you're turning faucets. And then wave, royal wave. And hallelujah, hands up to the sky. Come back down to all fours. We'll take it to the other side. Curl the left toes under. And then lift that leg off into a nice straight leg, keeping the pelvis steady. In line with that hip socket, that long leg. Inhale the right arm next to right ear. Hold it. Feel the magnet towards our wonderful spine in the center. And then bring the right hand to the floor. Inhale, bend the left knee, sole of the foot to the sky. There you go. Stay here or take your right hand off the floor and see if you can find your left foot back there for a quad stretch, keeping the knees, keeping that back knee nice and aligned with the pelvis. Find your breath. On your exhale, release the right hand to the floor and sole the foot back up towards the sky. Just inch the knee upward and down towards the floor so you can feel your glutes activating there. Inhale and exhale. Just an inch or two is all it takes. Keeping your shoulders rolling away from the ears, tension, releasing through the exhale. And then bring the knee down. Take the knees wide apart. And if you can go back in a child's, great, or come onto the back and hug the knees. Bring the hips back to the heels. So feeling your hips are wider here, getting a little stretch here outwardly. Bring the forehead to the mat, reach the arms long on the mat, forehead down. And just shift the hips side to side a little bit here. Just really subtle movement side to side. Since we're in a child's pose, taking that moment to really exhale long, releasing anything that you'd like to let go of. What are you holding on to? Just let it go. Inhale in what replaces it. Something new. Exhale it out. Beautiful. Now come on back up to vertical. And we'll move our blanket out of the way so we can move on up to a standing sequence. Take the over here. Beautiful. Come to our prep for downward dog. And hands, fingertips pointing towards the top of the mat. Curl the toes under, knees off the mat. Find your downward dog. Your downward dog has its own signature, so just do what you need to do, whether it's pedaling the feet or taking yourself into tiptoe, feet hip width apart, taking the heels down. So some people prefer to get into it evenly through the hips, through the heels, evenly coming down towards the floor, keeping the knees bent, or some people like to pedal first, bending the knees. Whatever you need to do to get those hamstrings a little bit, reminder to release. Inhale and exhale, hips high up, making that axis point of our shape of downward dog nice and triangular here. Pedal a little bit more, or up and down. See if you can straighten the legs. Yummy. And then walk the feet towards the hands. You can feel free to bend the knees as you do that. And keep the hands on the floor. Drop the head, come into some traction for the neck by releasing the weight of our heavy head. Great. Sit back into an imaginary chair as we strengthen our hips here. This is a great 1-2. We'll build into a regular habit. Sitting back into that chair. Ribs are on the thighs. Sweep the arms behind you, up, reaching up towards the sky, and then sweeping down towards the floor next to the ears, and bring it all up off of the thighs, spine long. All of those muscle groups activated here, those psoas, the glutes, rotators, adductors, all of it. And then bring it on up to mountain pose. Drop the arms. Exhale long, let it go. Ooh, so nice. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Invite in what you want through prayer position, and the hands down through the center, past our third eye, past our throat to the heart. Exhale. Find prayer position here. So we enter our standing sequence. Step away from the top of the mat just a little bit. And we're going to bring our weight to the right side, to the right foot and the right leg. So make sure that you're not, that you're activating your quad, lifting the knee up, glutes are activated. And we're going to slightly lift, ever so slightly lift the left foot off the mat and just swing the leg back and forth. We're just swinging it. And if this throws you off balance, it's okay. You can feel free to swing the arms with this, but try to keep that pelvis steady and keep the torso steady. Excellent. So you're kind of allowing some release through that psoas, the places to connect the legs and the hips and the pelvis, excuse me. Whoops. Swing again, keep swinging. Great. Okay, bring that to a close. Find evenness through the feet, back through mountain pose. And we're going to point the left toes forward and just keep that extension through the leg, another action through our hip here. And we're going to slide out and create an arc, kind of like we were doing from our all fours position. We're going to take an arc and trace it to the back of the body and then forward. And seeing how steady, so keeping your hands on the hips, just seeing how steady you can keep those hips as you take it forward and back. One more time. I'm going to turn around so I can show you the action we're doing next, but you can stay where you are. Okay, next time you bring it forward, you're just going to take that same arc back. This time, as you arc the left foot back, you're going to bring the left foot behind the right. And you're going to bend that front knee. So here we are, crossed legs. Make sure you bend that front knee and they're aligned with the toes. So we're taking another stretch for that tensor fasciae lata, which is on the glutes. Inhale the arms up to the sky, and then thumbs find the elbow creases. Fingertips resting on the elbows. We're going to lean over towards our right. So the left side of the body is going to get a long stretch. Step strong through your back foot. Yeah. Feel that stretch coming, just visualize it coming from the side of that back foot, all the way up the leg, past our hips, all the way up the rib cage, shoulders, neck. And then bring it back and sweep yourself back, foot forward, and then to mountain pose. And then reach back again, reaching back. So keep the hands on the hips, reach back. Now bend the knee and bring it forward, the left knee forward into a right angle in front of you, seeing if you can keep that balance as you bring it up. Hold this balance, take the arms out to the side, straighten the leg, and bend the leg. And now keeping the knee bent, see if you can challenge yourself to step to the back of the mat, but really nice and slow. Take the arms in front of you in a long superhero style and just reach that foot, straighten the leg, reach it back, bend that front knee so that you can land back into a high lunge. So it'll take some landing there. Curl the back toe under, toes under. So you got a left toes curled under. We're prepping for a high lunge. So we got the toes tracking the knee in front, bend, bring the pelvis down on your exhale into a low lunge. You might need to scooch the feet a little bit. So this is where we visit that pelvic floor, elevator up, but the pelvis is dropping into gravity. Inhale, feel the lift through your side bodies. Shoulders roll away from the ears. As you look up to the sky, imagine a beautiful ball of energy. Maybe it's gold or translucent bubble in your hands. Inhale, exhale, swan dive the arms around the front foot. Hands land around the right foot. So we're in a low lunge. Awareness back to the hips here. Inhale. See if you exhale, see if you can square off your hips by bringing the energy of the feet together. And then bring that left knee down to the floor. And the top of that back foot comes to the floor. And we're going to take a hip stretch here. So your hands will come on the inside of the right foot. Meanwhile, the right knee is tracking with those two middle toes, so you keep it aligned. But you can take the fingertips to the floor or the palms to the floor, and just notice as we drop into that right hip, little opening here, our dragon pose. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, release. Feel the feet. Notice the hands on the floor. Feel a little maybe sensations. If there's pinching, just come out. Don't go so deep. But if you have some sensations, send your oxygen there. Let go. One more breath to soften this a bit more. And then take that right hand around the outside of the right foot and draw the right knee back so that we're matching the left. Great. I'm going to turn around because I'm going to show you guys the other side. We're going to come up into down dog again. Inhale into down dog. And in this down dog, we're going to do another hip opener. I invite you to join me. Again, if you want to stay in down dog, you can just stay here or even in child's pose. Inhale, exhale, heels towards the floor. So we're going to turn our dog into a three-legged dog. Take your left foot towards the center line, a little bit more towards the center. Micro bend that knee as you lift the right leg off the floor, and you have a long line from your right hand to your right foot. Three-legged dog. Bend the right knee. Look under your right armpit. And then see if you can open those hip bones out to the right. So we're doing a hip opener here. We haven't done this one together. Keep those arms nice and strong, face relaxed. Exhale. Bring it all back to the earth. Right foot down. Let's try the other side. Bring the right foot into the center. Inhale, straight left leg lifts up in a long line with the left hand and left arm. Bend the left knee and then see if you can look under your left armpit and open up to the left. Inhale. Exhale, notice your breath. Relax the face. And then come on back to center. Left foot finds the floor. Keep the knees bent and walk the feet to the hands. Great. And then feet hip width apart. Hang the head down again. Release. Let it go. Inhale. Lift up into a flat back. Exhale, release. Sigh it out. Let go. Take the hands to the top of the thighs, and we're going to hinge up, keeping the knees bent. Hinge up into a flat back on an inhale. Exhale, step through those feet and find our mountain pose. Keep those feet micro bent. And if you get a little dizzy on the way up, bend the knees again. Bring the altitude down and then come on up again. Great. Find our mountain pose. We're going to do the same sequence with the other side. Okay, take the hands to the hips. And we're going to take the weight into the left. And we're going to swing that right leg. Lengthening those muscles that can get really crunched up when they sit. So I see those swinging legs out there. Allow the swing to be just like a playground swing, nice and easy. Find your breath. Great. And then bring that down to mountain. Inhale, exhale, point those toes out and find that nice arc around our range of the hip as we take the toes back and forward. Back and then forward, keeping the hands on the hips to remind you to see how steady you can keep those. Can the tailbone point down as you take this trip around? If it's feeling too unsteady, just go slower. Nice. Bring it back forward. Let's sweep that. Let's draw a line in the sand with the toes back again towards the back of the mat. Keeping that tailbone pointing down. Inhale, the knee up to the front, bend it. Steady, arms out to a T. Helicopter arms. And then we'll take our foot out, point it, straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. Hands to hips. Let's see if we can keep that bend in the knees. You travel with that right foot backward. It's a balancing. You can take superhero arms if you want. Back, bend, micro bend the front knee towards the middle two toes. Unsteady, it's all right. Reach back, curl the toes under, lift the arms. And then inhale, let's lift on the inhale, that pelvic floor, but at the same time with the exhale, not the same time, as we exhale, we're gonna drop the hips in between the thighs into a high lunge. Find the steadiness through the hips, find that evenness, reaching through that back heel, and then look up at your hands. If you didn't imagine that ball before, your favorite color, whatever it is, something filled with something you need, joy and positivity, whatever you need. Exhale, wingspan arms around the front foot, come down to low lunge. Exhale. And the feet find each other in space, saying hello, so that we can even out our hips here. And then bring that right knee down to the mat, top of the foot on the mat. Left hand travels on the inside of the left foot, and we just nudge that foot out a little bit, keeping our knee aligned. So make sure it's not off the path there with the middle two toes. Find length in the spine, inhale, and then exhale, see if the gravity can find that left hip a little bit. Some people can come down to their forearms on this kind of thing. I tend to be a little tight, so I just stay up on my bent elbows with the palms down. Noticing here with the breath that we can let go of just a little bit at a time in our hips. dragon, lizard pose, whatever we want to call this. Hip release. One more breath here. Really feel the breath all the way at the base of the spine and the belly, the pelvic floor. As you exhale, draw the left knee back to meet the right. Slide the hips back to the heels and extend in child's, or on your back, just lift the knees. Hug the knees if this is too much flexion for your knees. And find the floor again. And then come on up into vertical. And with the long part of the mat around you, come to all fours. We're going to come into a squat. So if this works for you, we're going to curl the back toes under, lift the knees off the mat into beginning the squat. And we're going to try to take the feet flat on the mat. And start to turn the toes outward and the knees aligning with the toes. If you want to, you can sit on a block here in the squat at whatever level you need. I'll demonstrate. Bringing the feet, this still gets the benefit of the hip opening, it's just not as hard on the knees. So you can sit on that block, making sure that our knees and toes are aligned. You can bring the hands to prayer position. The backs of these upper arms find the inner thigh at the knee level, and bringing those thumbs to the heart. Let's align the spine. Inhale, back of skull. Find the sacrum at the base. And if you press the knees or the thighs into the back of your arms and vice versa, get a little more wake up along the adductors in your thighs. Press the hands together, seeing if that helps pull us into that center. So nice. Great. And release the hands. Reach out in front of you with your fingertips. If you can stay in the squat, but if you need to get out of it at any time, that's okay. Reach the left hand out. See if you can do a little wrap of bend your left arm like we were doing earlier. Take your right hand to the heart and just look over towards your right knee. You can look up here if you're confused. Reverse it with an exhale. Take the right hand out to the right. Take the left hand to the heart and just open up towards the left side. And it's a little hard to explain, so definitely look up at what I'm doing. And then come on back and ease yourself down, your seat down to the mat. Beautiful. And take that block aside. And then we're going to take our side body to the mat. So come onto your left side. And stand in our sideways Tadasana, active feet. Right leg's on top. So bend the right leg. Bring the knee towards your face. And then guide the knee with your hands up towards that right hand up towards the sky. And then just down again. See if you can find a quad stretch here. So you can reach your leg into that right ankle. You can reach your hand back, keeping your feet super active. And then bring the knee forward. Open up the hip, challenging. Also hip opener here. Gliding. So we're visiting that nice lubricated hip socket. And then we're going to roll onto our back as we find our legs back together. On our way over to the other side, let's take a happy baby. Curl in, bring the knees to the chest. Feel the sacrum leave the floor. It'll curl up. But now let's bring the sacrum back to the floor. Take the knees out to the armpits, soles of the feet to the sky. Hold the back of the thighs or the ankles or the sides of the feet. Sacrum finds the floor again, so we can really focus on our hip sockets here. Take a little rock side to side. And if you can imagine any baby doing this, usually they're happy, so make sure your face is happy too. And then bringing those feet down to the mat, we're going to roll over onto the right side so that the left leg is on top. And then bend the left knee. Bring it towards the face. So bring the knee towards the face and then open up the knee up to the sky, gliding through our hip. And if you want to change this to the back to a quad stretch, holding the foot or just keeping it at a right angle, pointing our tailbone towards the heels, and then bringing back up. So we've been doing some active opening, stretching of the hips, as well as passive, using gravity to our advantage. Oof. Beautiful. And come onto the back, grab a strap, and we'll take our twist with a strap along the way so we can really anchor. Bend the knees, inhale the left knee towards the face, and see if you can lasso your foot around the ball of the foot of the left leg up towards the sky, hamstring stretch. Inhaling as you lift the heel up and exhaling, dropping into your left hip. So you're really feeling that visiting of the top of the femur. And all of the communication along the hamstrings. Let's take that all the way over into a twist. So we're going to take that strap along the left foot is going to come down and we're going to come onto our right side so that the left foot's on the floor. We're still getting a hamstring stretch here. Switch both sides of the strap into your right hand. Bend the right knee on the floor. Take the hand to the heart on the left arm, elbow to the sky, and then open up into a twist. Rest here. Feeling that left hamstring, nice and getting a stretch there as we twist the spine and release through our exhale. See if you can press your right elbow into the floor, lift it up a bit, and then release again through an exhale. Sweep the left arm to the sky. Right hand meets left. And then we can change this up by rolling onto our back, releasing that leg nice and long, bending the knee, inhaling the right knee towards the chest, lassoing the right foot, and rising that up towards the sky, noticing your hamstrings waking up along the way. Feel that lovely connection that you can make with the leg lifted here as it drops into the hip. Keep that connection strong as we take our right foot travel over so that we're on our left side. Bent left knee, holding the strap both sides in the left hand this time. Feeling the hamstring stretch on the right, taking the right hand to the heart, elbow to the sky, and then open up to our twist. Inhale, exhale, let it go. Take your left elbow to the floor, lift that sternum, the back body as well a little bit. And then as you exhale, see if you can bring the twist into that upper spine, looking over your right hand. Another breath deep into the belly, to that all the way down to the pelvis. Exhaling, sweep the right arm up towards the sky and hands meet again. Guide that foot back up to the sky. Bend the knee, release. Strap over to the side, take the feet together, soles of the feet together and the knees out as we were doing earlier in our Supta Baddha Konasana. Full length of the arms on the mat here towards the thighs, fingers reaching towards the thighs. Press in with your elbows, lift the sternum up, inhale. Invite that in through your heart, exhale, release, fold the shoulders towards the floor. And feel free to rock the knees a little bit side to side. Supta Baddha Konasana. Lovely restorative pose. Keep the palms up towards the sky. With the hips rotation here, perhaps we can access a deeper inhale into that lower abdominal region. Really feeling that expansive inhale internally. Exhale. Lengthen your exhale as much as you can. Enjoy as many rounds of breath here as you'd like. You can, at any point, lengthen out into Shavasana so you can straighten out the legs if you'd like. And just notice if you do straighten the legs and you flop the feet out to the side, notice the difference from when you began your practice, that sensation in the hips, maybe a little more rotation outward. We found some deeper release today, I hope, in a very internal connection in the body. Nurture that connection, nurture that opening with your breath. When you do leave the mat today, make sure you drink water and just nurture the body. Since the hips are quite a profound place in the body and profound opening. Travel with your inhale and exhale, closing the eyes and allowing that still point. Floating in space, stillness, centering. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bend the knees and the elbows. Guide yourself over to your right side. Celebrate the breath for a moment. Ease yourself up to a seated position. Inhale the arms up to the sky, celebrating the light, bringing that light in through our prayer position past our third eye, past the throat to our amazing hearts. Thank you so much for joining me in the practice today. Namaste.